So a dichotomous key is a super simple and super easy tool that helps us identify an organism that we don't know. And the easiest way to explain how to use them is to actually do some. So here I have an unknown organism. So this is an unknown organism, and I have this key that I'm going to use to identify it. And the rule is this: with any time you have to identify something, you always start at question 1. So I'm looking at this organism, and I have a question. I have a question that has basically 2 options here. So number 1, does it possess segmentation or does it lack segmentation? Well, I guess it helps to know what segmentation is. So if you ever read the story, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, you will see pictures where the caterpillar is kind of separated into these things here, and each one of these is a little segment. So I'm looking at my diagram, and it really is not segmented, is it? So I'm going to say it lacks, because lacks means it doesn't have it. So I'm going to say that, and it gives me an instruction, which is I've now got to go to question number 3. So I go to question number 3. Does it possess a foot, radula, arm, and or shell? Well, I'm not seeing any arms, so I'm going to say no. So let's lacks all of the above and is dorso-ventrally flattened. Well, I'm looking at it. It's like this is when you look at it, it's like a bird's eye view, and it's because it tells me it's looking at it through a microscope. So I'm going to say that that's probably the best one, which means it belongs to this group here, the platyhelminths, which are flatworms. Okay, let's look at this one. This one's a little easier to kind of determine what's going on. So I've got here some fruit out of a tree. This is probably, you've seen these before. These are like the little helicopter things that fall off the trees. Same thing again. Start at number 1. So is it a fruit with a single wing or a pair of wings? Well, I can see 1 wing and I can see 2 wings. So I'm going to say that it is this one. And it's telling me to go to 3. So I go to 3. Does the fruit form a very wide angle, almost a straight line, kind of like that? Or is it more V-shaped? I'm going to say it's more V-shaped. And that tells me that this is Acer negundo, okay? Type of maple leaf. Because when I look at this, Acer is the genus name, and species, that's negundo is the species name. And you can always tell, we talked about Carolus Linnaeus, and who came up with this kind of scientific standardized naming system. You can always tell if it's the naming system because it's always going to be 2 names. The first name is the genus, the second name is the species. But you can always tell it's the name because it's in italics. You see the letters are kind of slanting. That's only for the scientific names. All right, let's look over here. I'm going to do this one first. So again, I have an unknown leaf, and I'm told here these are all compound leaves where you've got one stem and you've got lots of leaflets coming off it. So something like the pecan trees out front of the high school would look like this. Simple leaves, they look like this. They're just, you've got the kind of stalk or petiole, and then you've got 1 leaf. So I've got my unknown leaf here, and I'm trying to identify it. So I'm going to start, as always, at number 1. So is this a compound leaf or a simple leaf? Well, it definitely to me looks more like the simple leaves. So I'm going to take that one, and it tells me to go to 3. So I come down here. Is the leaf length, and this is the length, right, top to bottom, like that, is that 4 times wider, 4 times more than the width? I don't think it is. I mean, maybe it's twice as long, but it's certainly less than 4 times the width. And that takes me to that one, which tells me to go to 4. Is the leaf pointed at the tip or is it rounded at the tip? I think it's rounded at the tip. And that tells me that it is Quercus lacei, which is the lace-leaf oak. Quercus is the genus name for every oak tree that you've ever seen. So we know that there's a place called white oak because there's a type of oak called white oak. That would be Quercus alba. Quercus is the genus name, and lacei is the species name. So this one here, Salix nigra, that is Salix is the genus name for a willow, and the nigra is the species name. I'm not quite sure what those two are, but the first name is the genus name, and the second name is the species name, and you will see that they're all in italics. Okay, the only dichotomous key that's a little different is this one, because on this one you kind of got to reverse what you do, and instead of ending with what it is, you're starting with what it is. Based on the key, which of these best describes the long leaf pine? Okay, so my step number one, I came down here. I said, all right, there is the longleaf pine. How did I get to that point? It was something that had leaves, all right, and the leaves were over 25 centimeters, okay? And it had no thorns or cones. Now, that's here. That's 7B. How did I get to 7? Come back over here. That says go to 7. What does this tell me? It tells me that I have straight leaves. Okay? And they're over 13 centimeters long. Well, I know they're already over 20 centimeters, 25 centimeters long, so I need to write that bit down. Okay, how did I get to 6? So come back over here, go to 6. What does that tell me? The leaves are mostly 3 in a cluster. Okay, I've got quite a few characteristics. So now all I have to do is go to the answer choices and say, all right, needle-like straight leaves, check, because they're straight. Mostly over 25 centimeters, check, because they're mostly over 25 centimeters. Found in clusters of 3, check, right? No thorns or cones, check. And if I go through these ones, like here, if I just pick C, needle-like straight leaves, check. Length over 25 centimeters, check. Found in clusters of 5, no. Thorny cones, no, because we have no. So if you look at them and you have things which aren't that, this can't be the right answer. A is the correct answer because I've only got check marks. All these other ones, like here, flattened scale-like, no. Over 25 centimeters, soft leathery cones, no. So if you've got any which are incorrect, they're not the right answer. You want the answer that's only got check marks on it. And that's how you do dichotomous keys.